Okay, may I please have a motion to adjourn our executive session?
So moved. Second.
TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Epling-Skinner?
Yes.
Ms. Harless?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson?
Yes.
Motion carries. We are out of executive session. Okay. All right, welcome to our April 14th, 2025 regular board meeting. TJ, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Best?
Present.
Mrs. Davis?
Present.
Mrs. Epling-Skinner?
Present.
Ms. Harless?
Present.
Mrs. Hudson?
Present.
Welcome. Thank you all for being here. My name is Kelly Davis. I am this year's board president. To my left is board member Nikki Hudson, board vice president Amber Epling-Skinner, our treasurer TJ Cusick. To my right is Dr. Trent Bowers, our superintendent, board member Stephanie Harless, and board member Jennifer Best. If you are able, please stand with us to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. May I please have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions or additions that need to be added? Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Epling-Skinner?
Yes.
Ms. Harless?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, now this is an exciting time of why a lot of you are here. We're excited to highlight our students. So we're first going to begin with a motion to recognize art students from Thomas Worthington High School and Worthington Kilbourne High School who participated in the Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibit, the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition, and the OCC Art Invitational. Board member Jennifer Best will take it from here. Oh, no, sorry. Motion, may I please
So
have a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Epling-Skinner?
Yes.
Ms. Harless?
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson?
Yes.
Mrs. Best?
Yes.
Now, board member Jennifer Best will take it from here. Thank you.
It's off now. I'm going to start out here. I'm so honored to be able to work on this recognition and so glad to see so many staff and students here. I spend a lot of time at the McConnell Arts Center, and so I've gotten to see a lot of the artwork that is over there. And every time I'm in their gallery, people are like, I can't believe these are high school students. So the work is absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to read a little bit about the awards that we're giving tonight. The Ohio Governor's Youth Art Exhibition dedicated to educational and artistic advancement of talented young people in the state of Ohio. The exhibition is open to all of Ohio's 1,112 public and private high schools. The purpose is to provide all budding young artists of the state with opportunities to advance their talent, whether through scholarships or simply experiencing the process of entering their work in a competition. So we have the artist, and then we also have the Scholastic Art and Writing Award presented by the Alliance for Your Artists and Writers. The mission of the Alliance is to identify students with exceptional artistic and literary talent and present their remarkable work to the world. And then the OCC Art Invitational features visual art from Central Ohio students. I know their work is displayed in multiple places around the state, and I would like to go ahead and invite all of the students from both high schools for the art and the writing awards to come on up front with me up here. This is so nice that so many of you could attend and I'm looking around. I know you've got some teachers here. Could you come up with us also? In the back. Buzz, I know you're here. We are all very proud of your students. And what I would like to do is give you, the teachers, the certificates to pass out to them later when we're done. There's a Thomas stack and a Kilbourne stack. But what I'd like to do is have the students introduce yourself, tell us where you go to school, and what your art or literary project was.
Hi, my name is Isabella. I go to Thomas and I did a portrait of myself.
Hi, my name is Kate. I go to Thomas as well, and my piece was a pot series, a ceramic series.
Hi, my name is Meredith, and I go to Thomas too. And I had a portfolio in scholastics based on environmental science and a piece in governors based on chemistry.
Hi, my name's Anna Morkwart. I go to Thomas, and in governors I had a comic, and in scholastics I had a comic and a painting.
Hi, my name is Lily Nichols. I go to Thomas and I had a piece in the OCC about dance.
My name is Olivia. I had a ring piece in governors and scholastic.
I'm Annabelle. I go to Kilbourne and I had a colored pencil piece in the OCC. I'm Mara Jones. I go to Kilbourne and I had a colored pencil piece in the OCC.
I'm Angela Zhang. I go to Worthington Kilbourne, and I had an acrylic painting in the Governor's Show.
Hi, my name is Yewon Lee. I go to Worthington Kilbourne. I had a piece about ocean and a whale with cyanotype and a white jellyfish.
Hi, my name is Julia Botros. I go to Kilbourne, and my piece was the takeout, and it was in the Scholastic Art Show.
I'll grab this. How many of you right now do have artwork over at the MAC that is super easy for everyone to go see? Okay, so you can go over and look for their artwork and see how wonderful they are. We really congratulate you all and thank you all for coming. If we could have another round of applause for our and okay. Teachers, could you go ahead and come in because there's some people that want some photos. So I think if we could have the teachers in here also. Oh, great.
Angela's will be at the State House. The lady spent a lot of extra time outside of class working on the other one. There's this very, very dedicated Okay.
There you go.
There you go. That's much better. Thank you. Great, thanks. Congratulations.
Congratulations and thank you.
Congratulations to all of you. It's just, we have so much amazing talent here in this district, and it's great to have the opportunity to highlight each of you. Our next recognition, if I could have a motion to recognize Thomas Worthington High School and Worthington Kilbourne High School indoor track state champions.
So moved.
Second.
TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Epping Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, Board Member Stephanie Harless is going to take it from here.
Okay, now I can stand up. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Oh, there we go. Okay. I have a slightly shorter recognition because there's fewer of you, but equally exciting. So earlier this spring, March 8th to be exact, we had some athletes compete in, some track and field athletes competed at the OAT CCC, I had to look that up, State Indoor Championship. And so we have two athletes in attendance that we would like to recognize today. So I'm going to ask Jenna Olson and Mirabelle Thornton to come up. and join me. And Molly Fiesler and Jeff Todd, if you want to join us as well. And I don't know if any of our coaches are here also, if you guys would like. Okay, so I'm going to start with Jenna. Well, I'm going to assume it's you, because you don't have the Kilbourne shirt on. Jenna Olson from Thomas, and as I mentioned, joined by Athletic Director Molly Fiesler and Andy? No. Devin. Yeah. Welcome. Thank you. Jenna won a state championship in indoor weight throw and, notably, set a new school record. So we would like to congratulate you for that. And next, Mirabelle Thornton from Kilbourne, and joined by Athletic Director, maybe, Jeff Todd? There you are. You can come up if you would like, if not. And then coaches as well, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves quickly.
My name is Mariah Hicks. I'm the pole vault coach.
Chip Seeley, the head girls coach.
Josh Stegman, the head boys coach.
Thank you all. Yes, thank you all for joining us today. Mirabelle also won a state championship in pole vault coach. So we would like to congratulate her for that amazing accomplishment as well. And I think if we can all squeeze in for a picture.
Congratulations to you both. This is exciting. Now, you are welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, or if you need to excuse yourself, that's okay as well. We're going to move on with our meeting. Like I said, you're welcome to stay if you'd like. As people are leaving the room, I'm just going to move on to visitor comments, and since I have something to read, well, this will be a good time. The board and the administrative staff encourage and appreciate community interest in meetings of the Board of Education. This section of the agenda is designed to hear views of community members about their schools and items on the agenda. Each speaker will be asked to address the board at the visitor's podium so that the speaker's remark may be clearly heard. The speakers should give their name and street address and limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Consistent with our policy 9130 on public complaints, we ask that complaints about a particular employee be referred to the superintendent and not addressed during public session. We remind all speakers that our district values and respects people as they are, and that our district is committed to creating and maintaining safe spaces for all of our students and community members. We want to remind our community that we value public input and always appreciate when our community members remember our district's values, refraining from using harmful or offensive language, and for sharing your comments in a civil and respectful manner. It is not our usual practice to respond to remarks during the visitor comment section of our meeting. We have one visitor comment this evening. Okay, our next agenda item is Assistant Superintendent Angie Adrian is going to lead us to do a presentation about Portrait of a Learner into Practice.
There we go.
Thank you, and good evening. Good evening, President Davis, Vice President Epling Skinner, Board of Education members, Superintendent Bowers, and Treasurer Cusick. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you this evening and with our community to share the work that we've been engaged in around Portrait of a Learner and our partnership with Battelle for Kids. This initiative represents a shared commitment to really ensuring that our students develop the durable skills and the competencies needed for success in the classroom and beyond. Tonight, I'm joined by a dedicated team of leaders who have played a really important role in this work. Certainly couldn't do this work by myself. Kelly Wegley, Director of Academic Achievement and Professional Learning, and unfortunately you don't see Kelly because she could not be with us this evening. However, please know that she's played a significant role in part in helping shape how we bring this vision to life in our schools. While she couldn't be here tonight, you will hear from her through a video in our presentation where she shares her insights and her work with this. Tiana Miller, Principal of Worthington Hills Elementary, Greg Garris, Principal of Kilbourne Middle School, and Brett Schaefer, Assistant Principal of Thomas Worthington High School. Together, we look forward to sharing our journey, the impact of this work, and how it continues to shape learning experiences with our students. We have titled this presentation Portrait to Practice, as it is and will continue to be an evolving process that bridges the gap between aspiration, what we hope for with this, and then the actual action of making this come to life in our classrooms. So in order for us to talk about where we are headed, I think it's always important to look back to move forward. So to kick off our presentation, I want to take just a moment to look back because understanding where we've been helps us to see where we are and where we're headed. So while I'd like to think we have a crystal clear memory of everything that happened a year ago, I know for me anyway, there are times where I can't remember what happened 5 minutes ago. So I just want to take just a quick look back. What I remember most about the process last year was that we started the journey by really ensuring that we had the best possible design team in place that we could have. We spent a lot of time making phone calls, talking with community members, and worked really hard to bring together a group of passionate, thoughtful leaders who were really committed to shaping the work in a meaningful way. And that team included people like yourselves. Our board members were a part of that, school leaders, many of us in the room tonight, families, educators, students were involved. We had policymakers in the room, social service agencies, higher ed, business leaders, several Worthington community members, and then communities of faith. We had 4 evening sessions, if you remember last year, at Worthington Kilbourne High School in their commons area. During that time, we created websites, videos, a robust planning sessions, presentations to just continue. While we had 200 or so stakeholders involved in our design team, we wanted to make sure that for those that couldn't attend that, had an opportunity to visit our website and to listen to the videos. These are just some pictures from those evenings. You'll see some familiar faces there. We spread out in the commons area, led by Battelle for Kids, lots of engagement in the process to eventually come to the place where we created in Worthington a real unique identity. We have created 3 separate Portrait of a Learner. So as we take a look at these 3 portraits, one for middle school, one for high school, and one for pre-K elementary, we are certainly unique in this work as other districts have developed a single portrait for pre-K 12. So Battelle for Kids has shared that we are the first district that they've worked with to create these leveled portraits, ensuring that our vision for student success is developmentally and meaningful at every stage of their learning. This work reflects our unique identity, a commitment to meeting students where they are, and intentionally building those skills along the way as they grow. This approach not only provides a clear progression from elementary to high school, but also ensures that the portrait of a learner is more than just a statement. It's a living, evolving framework that guides students' learning at every level. The team with us tonight, that you'll get to hear from in just a minute, attended the Battelle for Kids annual conference in the fall, and we were told by Battelle for Kids that we may soon be asked to present at the next Ed Leader 21 conference based on these 3 different portraits. So we'll see if that happens. I'll be proud to do so if it does. This year, we knew that if we truly wanted the portrait to come to life, because we created it last year, began talking about it a little bit, but if we really wanted it to come to life, we had to do more than talk about it. We had to create an awareness and take the time to really reflect on our own practices as leaders. So to do this, we developed a presentation that incorporated thinking routines, much like we do with students in the classroom, and structured ways to encourage deep reflection and discussion with the adults. We shared this with a wide range of groups across our district, including new teachers. So new teachers as they begin their journey in Worthington. We also talked about it at our leadership retreat, where administrators explored how the portrait connects to their work. We met with the transportation department, recognizing that every staff member plays a role in shaping student experiences, and we all know that our drivers, are the first to greet our kids when they get on the school bus for the day, and last to wish them a great evening. So thanks to our transportation department for allowing us to do that. We also met with Care After, engaging those who support students beyond the school day. That was important for us to meet with the students who get to see our kids after school. And then our opening staff meetings. Each principal worked with their teachers, ensuring that every teacher and educator started the year with this vision in mind. I believe that by embedding these conversations throughout our district, we've built a shared understanding of the portrait and how it can shape our daily interactions with students. I hope that eventually when we talk with our students, when you talk with our students about the portrait, that they too feel confident in sharing how it connects to the culture of learning and their personal growth in our schools. So that will be much of our next steps if they can't already do that, because Tiana is going to step to the lectern here and share with you how that is impacting our students right now in the classroom.
Thank you. Good evening. One of the greatest strengths of our unique portrait identity with our 3 distinct portraits is that our durable skills are accessible and relevant for all students pre-K-12. What's been most exciting is witnessing how authentically and how organically the portrait of a learner is coming to life in our schools. We didn't hand teachers a checklist or a rigid rubric. Instead, we shared the durable skills developed by our stakeholder team and said, go for it, have fun, and they have. The creativity, the ownership, and energy from our staff have made the portrait meaningful in ways we couldn't have scripted. If you had the opportunity to watch our amazing 2025 State of the Schools, you got to see some of the ways in which the portrait is already coming to life. Here are a few photos from some of our schools and some of the things that they are doing in the schools. Our schools are making intentional strides to align PBIS efforts with our district's portrait of a learner. Across our buildings, we're seeing a growing emphasis on students demonstrating durable skills, skills that not only support academic success, but also prepare them to thrive beyond the classroom. At the elementary level, monthly assemblies have become a powerful platform to celebrate this work. Students at each grade level share how they're growing as thinkers, leaders, and friends, helping to embed the language and mindset of the portrait schoolwide. We've partnered with our PTAs to host Portrait of a Learner spiritware competitions, which have helped build excitement and reinforce school pride. Our yearbook cover art now centers on the portrait, giving students a creative outlet to express their growth and connection to these competencies. During parent-teacher conferences, teachers are having meaningful conversations with families, highlighting how students are developing key competencies and identifying areas for growth. Perhaps most inspiring are our student leaders taking on the durable skill of being a leader by selecting local organizations that matter to them and organizing donation drives to support those causes. They're not just learning about service, they are leading it. Angie said I could share a quick story, so I will. I get lots of emails, but one particular email I got from a community member, a family, she shared with me, she asked me if I could write a Hawkeye Award, which are our durable skills that we give to students as we see them kind of exhibiting these durable skills in action. And she asked me, Ms. Miller, can you write a Hawkeye Award for this student who out in the community was being a thinker and was being a friend? And she told the story and it warmed my heart. When I did get to give that kiddo his Hawkeye Award, he goes, how did you know, Miss Miller? I said, I see a lot of things, but it was just really, really neat to see our community acknowledge that student and acknowledge the portrait. Our community is doing that. The work to bring the Portrait of a Learner to life is well underway, and we are excited by the momentum. By embedding durable skills into our school culture, we are building a community of learners who are equipped, inspired, and will change the world.
I get the pleasure of working at Thomas Worthington High School through an exciting construction process. During this change, we've taken the opportunity to rebrand our PBIS initiatives. Students are now highlighted and celebrated as Cardinals of the Month based on their demonstration of Portrait of Learner competencies. In fact, every nominated student receives an email that's also sent to their parent or guardian to make sure everyone can celebrate. This is an example of what you would see at our Cardinal of the Month breakfast. Jada Rivers was nominated by Ms. Henman because of her growth, enthusiasm, and engagement in Spanish class, meeting our portrait competencies: resilient learner, responsible collaborator, adaptable leader, critical thinker, and confident communicator. We see student recognition similar to this from Sutter Parkway through graduation. Portrait of the Learner has naturally integrated into all buildings, preschool to high school. And part of that portrait integration is simply learning the durable skills we want our students to demonstrate in order to be future ready. This past fall, kindergarten class was learning about Portrait of the Learner, what it meant to be a thinker, leader, and friend. Much to the surprise of the teacher, one special friend who is known to be a friend of few words. He stood up tall and was all in, was asking to participate. These moments are profound and memorable. The teacher was crying, emotions were flying. We love this as a snapshot of our district's work. Think about what you see in the newly found confidence as he speaks and the work of the design team playing out.
Thinker, I will be a thinker. I will be a leader. I will be a leader. I will be a kind friend. I will be a kind friend. Awesome.
When our kindergarten friend here leaves school in 12 years, what will this world look like? During our portrait community design sessions, we watched this exact video as we were building our competencies. It allows us to reflect on how we can prepare students to be future ready when they go off and change the world. Just as a disclaimer, this video was created 6 years ago.
It's a rather dramatic entrance, but I want to talk to you about the next phase of our work. So as you've seen tonight, students and staff are very familiar with our portrait. The next step is embedding learning opportunities in the classroom to teach our durable skills. Over the course of this school year, our team had the chance to participate in 4 learning sessions designed to help us take that next step. These learning sessions were facilitated by Battelle for Kids, and they guided us in developing a roadmap that includes a learning framework, theory of action, and defines deeper learning. Going through this experience helped us understand the steps that we need to support our students when making these shifts in the classroom. In particular, we recognize the need to develop a shared understanding of durable skills and clearly define what deeper learning means. With a shared understanding of our durable skills, we can embed them in authentic and meaningful ways in our instructional practices so that students are engaging in deeper learning in the classroom. We define deeper learning as the intersection of our academic standards and our durable skills, or our portrait competencies. In the classroom, that can show up in both big and small ways. Deeper learning can look like a large capstone project or individual lessons that happen multiple times over the course of a day. We have examples happening all over the district. So for example, in our Global Thinkers class, soon to be Connected Communities course, it's directly aligned to our portrait of a learner, and each quarter is dedicated to one of those competencies. In the Global Thinker portion of the class, students identify a problem in their community, they research, they brainstorm solutions, and then they take action. Students will go as far as setting up a stand at the farmer's market to raise funds or create awareness. I know our very own Mr. Gehring has been over to Kilbourne Middle School to talk about the merits of solar panels on the roof. Kids go all out to solve big problems in the community, but it doesn't always have to be a large capstone project like that. Our secondary math curriculum, CPM, is a great example of the ways that standards combine with durable skills to create deeper learning. In our math classrooms, students are tasked with solving complex problems, often working in teams. By utilizing this approach, students are both learning the math content while honing their communication and their leadership skills. The CKLA elementary curriculum that was piloted this year is another excellent example of the way that durable skills can be embedded with the content standards to create deeper learning for all students. As we move forward, we're striving to be intentional about unpacking our durable skills and embedding them directly into our instructional practices. As Angie mentioned, Kelly Wegley can't be with us here tonight, but she is with us virtually. And so she's done a voiceover to talk through the slide that leads us through the next steps in our work.
Good evening. I'm glad to be able to join you virtually. As Angie shared earlier, our 3 portraits of a learner provide a clear, intentional progression from preschool through high school, a living framework designed to guide student learning at every level. So to ensure these aspirational qualities are brought to life for every student, we are unpacking our durable skills and aligning them with high-impact instructional strategies, which are grounded in the research of John Hattie. This alignment is central to the development of our deeper learning framework, which connects vision to practice and ensures coherence across our system. Notably, this focus on durable skills and evidence-based instruction also supports the recommendations from our recent special education audit. Here on the screen, you see a draft excerpt of our deeper learning framework. You also have the full version in front of you. That framework highlights high-impact Tier 1 instructional strategies that benefit all learners, especially those who struggle or have IEPs. These practices are essential to bringing our portraits to life in classrooms. In this example, we spotlight the 2 strategies with the greatest impact on student learning: scaffolding and structured academic conversations. Within the red circles, you can see the pre-K-12 progression from thinker to global thinker to critical thinker. While engaging in structured academic conversations, be it in Global Thinkers or any of our classrooms implementing CKLA or CPM curricula, our thinkers progress from sharing ideas and asking questions to seeking diverse perspectives to engaging perspectives and refining their own reasoning. No matter the setting, These durable skills empower our students to thrive in a changing world, and together we are preparing them not just to navigate the future, but to shape it.
So as you know, this is the time of year where we work really hard to finish the year strong, and also plan for summer and plan for the following school year. So Kelly and our team have been working diligently to schedule and try to figure out how we ensure that our summer learning for teachers, our 3 Thursdays, that learning that takes place this summer and in the fall as we open the new school year, where this is really embedded, this framework, so that our teachers can see how that comes to life. And we're already seeing it in our classrooms now, but we just need to do due diligence with it to ensure that our teachers and all of our staff understand that progression. So I will end our presentation with the best part of our jobs, and that's our kids. You got to see one of them just a minute ago, but a special thank you to Bluffs View Elementary and music teacher Claire Dobney for creating a song that brings our elementary portrait to life in truly a special way. Through music, our students are able to express the heart of this work, showcasing the skills, the mindsets, and creativity that define learning in Worthington schools.
I am a thinker, I know just what to do. I am a believer, I am here to help you. I am a kind friend, I know my heart is true. I am a thinker, leader, friend. I share with you my questions. I know the choice is true. I am proud to change the world. I am a thinker, I know just what to do. I am a leader, I am here to help you. I am a kind friend, I know my heart is true. I am a thinker, leader, friend. I am a thinker, leader, friend. Good job.
I don't know about our team, but I can speak for myself. I've rehearsed this a few times and practiced. I know that song by heart. I could go sing it with the students. So this is a picture of our last session together. So when we worked with Battelle for Kids over 4 different sessions, we worked with Keystone School District. Their elementary, middle school, and high school are all on the same campus. So they have a completely different structure than we do, and their enrollment is a little less than ours. But it was so great to come together 4 times to meet with their superintendent, to meet with their teachers and their principals, and just kind of find out how they are moving through this portrait to practice. And so this was our last session together over at the Marolo building at Thomas, and we took a group picture. So we're now here to answer questions for you, if you have any, or comments.
You guys, thank you so much for that presentation. You know we're all excited about portrait here. So to hear the expansion of it and how it's being utilized in our schools is great. So does anyone have any questions, comments, praise, all the things? Who wants to go first? Okay.
Thank you, obviously. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot happening in the world right now. So it was really, this is exactly what we needed, I think. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being here tonight. And thank you for being thought leaders, not just in implementing it here, but in sharing your expertise out in the world. It's a big deal to do that. And I am amazed, and I've told this to Angie before, but it bears repeating over and over again. Because we've seen this in AAPL and a couple times, not this exactly, but talked about it. And I'm just amazed at how quickly you all have embedded this pre-K 12 in a way that is meaningful to our kids. Angie gave me some stickers and magnets, and I have already lost them to my children because, I mean, and genuinely, they talk about it all the time, unprompted. Like, this is the way that you have really embedded this across the district is really, really remarkable. And so I want you guys to hear that and know that, that we see it. And I love that you've expanded it outside the classroom and outside the school day. My only question is, do you sleep? But other than that, I mean, truly, thank you, thank you.
Stephanie, we have more stickers.
Okay.
I'll just say thank you. It was great to get the update, and I love like seeing the examples, like the community member that wanted to give an award to a student. It's just amazing how it's grown and expanded. So thank you.
Nikki or Amber?
I'll just also share gratitude, and I will be sharing later tonight that the WEF is piloting let me go back to my notes here, a professional day for 8th graders at KMS. And I just had a thought, like, had I seen this before the last meeting, but I still can circle back to the WEF. I wonder if we couldn't encourage students to ask questions that surrounded, that were framed by Portrait of a Learner. Like, how do you use critical thinking in your job? Things that help them connect these professions with the skills they're learning right now. So that was just connecting two dots, and really excited to see, as was already expressed, the fact that our community at large is already embracing this as well. So congrats.
Great idea. Yeah.
I'll just jump in real quick, just to share some perspective from a mother that has middle schoolers and high schoolers. Like Stephanie touched on the elementary school kids who, embrace this. And, I notice it in the emails that come home. It's absolutely intentionally being used and being framed in such a, useful and beneficial way to anyone who's reading it, whether they're parents or students. But with 2 high schoolers who are looking at colleges right now, one of the things that I've sort of been using it just as a parent talking to my daughters is as a framework for, college essays and thinking about future careers and what majors you're choosing. And so I really have been using it at home. And I'd like to think that, I'm not alone. You guys are doing a great job embedding it. There's obviously lots more work to do. It's only been a year. And so I'm excited to see what's left to go.
Thank you, Amber.
Okay. As everyone said, thank you. This was great. I remember being in the room shortly after you saw that initial video of that student who just didn't participate in class, and how this really brought out his voice, and going in front of the classroom, you were so excited. So it's so exciting to finally see that video. I just love everything about this. You're meeting students where they are. It's going throughout our entire district and filtering into our community. And I did learn this weekend that, and maybe this, I don't know how many schools this happens at, but this was Thomas specifically, that even staff is awarded for these, I don't know what, I'm losing my word, okay. So leader, thinker, friend, but at the high school level, because their expectation is that we're modeling that within our leadership too. And so I love how it's even incorporating staff and teachers in that as well. So just thank you, bless you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your continued dedication, because it doesn't just stop now, I know. Let us know how we can support you. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I will end with, we didn't plan this, and we didn't mean to dress like the leader, thinker, friend, but if you look at our colors, but we did not plan it, so I promise. Thank you.
All right. I just, there are some amazing things happening in our district, and, to your point of a lot of stuff going on, but man, school is still happening. We're still teaching great things to our students academically, emotionally, socially. So just grateful for these moments. So moving on to our next agenda item under information and proposals is the board leadership and goals. So that is attached in our agenda here. This comes from our last work session, which I know seems like it was so long ago. So hopefully you had some time to review it. I personally didn't have any changes. I think at the end of our time together during that work session, it was just more making sure that it flowed well, that the wording was how we wanted it to be, and consistent throughout the document. So I think if we don't have any additional comments or any suggestions, that we can move forward and maybe work with Vicky's team to make it look really pretty and have a nice graphic with colors and whatnot, and make sure that it's added onto the website, as well as it could be added under board docs too. We can add documents in board docs, but I wanted to leave time just in case you did have any suggestions or if you thought something needed to be tweaked a little before we moved forward with that, and let me know if you have that. You good down there? You good? Amber, you good? Okay, all right. So that's what we'll do. I can reach out to Vicky and we can, maybe in our communications team meeting that we need to schedule, we can go over that and get that rolled out, okay? I appreciate all of your work on that too. That was really productive conversation and just demonstrates the care that each of us has for our district. All right, moving on to reports and announcements. Superintendent's report, Dr. Bowers.
Yes, thank you. So we know that the mission in Worthington Schools is to empower a community of learners who will change the world. And for this report, we structure it based on our 4 vision statements. So our first vision statements, we will engage each student with diverse opportunities to maximize every student's potential. One of those opportunities is testing. So last week, we successfully administered 14,083 Ohio State tests to 6,435 students, grades 3 through 12. The high schools successfully wrapped up their primary testing week Friday, which is a major accomplishment. Administering such a high volume of tests in just 1 week truly takes an all-hands-on-deck approach. It's led by our dedicated building test coordinators. We call them BTCs when you see that acronym, and our assistant principal testing teams. So we just want to say we deeply appreciate the effort that goes into organizing, communicating, and executing such a complex testing schedule. High schools do continue with makeup tests and will administer the government OST on April 22nd. And then our elementary and middle schools are progressing smoothly through their testing schedules, really so far, and we'll knock on wood, with minimal issues. But this really is a reflection on Angie's team and their strategic planning and making that happen. So our kids are doing a great job. Our second vision statements, we will provide a safe environment where every student can grow intellectually, emotionally, socially, and physically. So beginning April 9th, Ohio law requires that city, local, and exempted village school districts serving students in grades 9 through 12 include the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline telephone number on all student identification cards, planners, and electronic portals if provided or used by the school. So we are making plans. We've worked with our company that does our student identification cards, and those will be in place for next school year when our students come back in August. So just so the board's aware. Third, we'll provide consistent communication and promote dialogue with our community. This Wednesday evening, so the 16th, 6:30 p.m. here at the WEC, we're hosting a middle and high school special education parent workshop. So the workshop will focus on transition to middle school and or high school. So thinking elementary students transitioning to middle school students transitioning to high school, and what they can expect, what families can expect, what students can expect. Workshop presenters, Mackenzie Johnson, Caitlin Anderson, Mandy Lindsley, Chris Brainerd, all middle school and high school intervention specialists, and then obviously our parent mentor, Shannon Daly, is putting this on. And so we're really excited about that, and we look forward to seeing as many community members as possible in this room Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. And finally, we will be responsible and transparent with our community's resources. Obviously, we're talking quite a bit about funding right now. So if you remember in the governor's proposal, Worthington was projected to lose $2.2 million in state funding. And that was including, a growing school district. As the progression moved through the legislature, it moved to the House. The good news is the $2.2 million was restored in the House. The bad news is the House proposed that there be a cap on carryover, the amount of money a school district can put in carryover. And for Worthington, that's a significant challenge. So Worthington schools would need to return $79 million in taxpayer-approved funds. That threatens the long-term financial stability of the school district. While promoted as property tax relief, the plan really merely delays tax collection and likely accelerates the need for a new levy. So instead of us being off the ballot until 2028, if this were to go through, potentially we'd need to be back on the ballot in 2026. And really, more than anything, well, as much as anything, the proposal overrides local voter decisions, which raises serious legal and governance concerns about local control. So, we had a governor's proposal. It's gone to the House. The House has created their proposal. It now progresses to the Senate. So we'll see what happens in the Ohio Senate, and by June have a state budget. But it is something that we're watching closely because it has a significant impact on the financial path of Worthington schools. President Davis, that is my report.
Trent, you put together a really good blog post about this that really spelled this out, and I encourage anyone who's listening or watching to read that blog post. It does a great job outlining sort of the gravity of this situation. Have you heard back from community members? Are people getting how critical this is?
That's a good question.
Do we need to do a better job amplifying the message, I guess is my question.
That's a great question. So I think we need to amplify the message. I do think, again, as you know, this is a process, and so we'll see where the Senate is. The blog post went out. The blog post will go out again tomorrow in our parent newsletter. So as part of communication that goes directly, or not tomorrow, on Wednesday in our parent newsletter, our Worth Knowing newsletter. So we'll get more readership there. It was submitted to the Columbus Dispatch as a guest column. Whether they publish it or not, we're not sure, but we submitted it as a guest column. We belong to a group called the Alliance for High Quality Education. It was sent to all members of the Alliance for High Quality of Education so they could use it as a roadmap to build their own communication to their community. And I did hear back from the governor's office. So I do know directly that the governor's office received it, read it, and understand our concern.
Because truly, we're not the only school district that is absolutely unnerved by this. This has the potential to cripple public schools all across the entire state of Ohio. So I guess that was my question. Just, I understand there's a legislative process. I understand that we're very early in the Senate of getting a budget passed at this point. But there's definitely noise that can be made at every step of that process. And so encouraging all of us to use our tools and our networks, and anyone else who's listening and cares about the future of Worthington schools to help in that effort.
Thank you, Dr. Bowers. After TJ's report, I thought we would have just a little bit of dialogue about the Senate being on break for the next 2 weeks and reaching out during that time and possibly putting together a resolution so that we can talk to this specific issue that we could go over at our April 28th meeting, but we can talk about that. I want to hear what TJ has to say first, and then we can have a little bit of dialogue about that.
So I don't want to reiterate what Trent said here, but I do want to stress a couple key points that I think are important to reiterate, specifically regarding the cap on carryover cash balance. So most importantly, I think for districts like ours that aren't on the 20 mil floor, the cap is equivalent to overturning what a local voter approved, and so that strikes constitutional issues. But even for districts that aren't on the floor, a cap on cash balance, it quite simply penalizes districts for good financial management. And incentivizes short-term thinking. And I don't mean wasteful spending, like buy a bunch of paper and throw it in the closet. But if you think about any school district or any business for that matter, we have unmet needs that we're always going to have because we know we have a limit on resources. And so think about your capital plan. You have boilers, chillers, trucks that need replaced. Maybe they have 3 or 4 years left. With this arbitrary cash balance cap, you may go ahead and replace those earlier than you needed to because you're going to lose the money, and then you forego good useful life of that asset for a couple of years, and that money could have been used otherwise. And so this arbitrary statewide cap without understanding and knowledge of what's happening is a wasteful idea at its core. And then lastly, county budget commissions under current Ohio law they have this power already, right? So every year you've heard me talk about this. We did it in March. We submit our millage request to the county auditor, and there's a panel of 3 people on that committee that can reduce millage if they deem that necessary. And that's based on the district providing information as to why. And so this statewide similar cash balance cap doesn't take any of that into account, and this provision already exists in code. That's a better provision than a statewide arbitrary cap. And then lastly, I do want to talk a little bit about a school district's cash reserve, because a lot of the testimony said, well, the state has a smaller reserve, municipalities have a smaller reserve. Why do somehow schools are hoarding money? And it's you have to understand how school funding works and understand why a school district has a different cash balance need than the state or municipality, and it's really because how we get our revenue. So the state has sales tax, income tax, cities have income tax. Those things grow over time with inflation. The underlying base wages go up, income tax goes up. Schools don't have that. As schools subject to 920, we pass a levy, our cash goes way up, but then it's flat. Revenue is flat. And so inherently, schools have a different need for a cash balance than a municipality, than the state of Ohio, and that's we need to stress that because I constantly heard, well, the state doesn't have that high of a cash balance. Well, you're very different than a school district. As we mentioned, I do believe that those on the Senate side and the governor understand all this, and hopefully they will strike this or make changes. To Amber's point, it is still early, and when I recognize this proposal has catastrophic consequences, and they are catastrophic. And we're going to have to sit here and live uncomfortably. I do think over the next couple of weeks when the Senate comes back, we'll see some progress on this, I hope. The other thing I want to talk about tonight, in our monthly financial report for March that has been distributed, we talked about at Treasurer Advisory and at Finance Committee, it kind of foreshadows the changes in the forecast, although I will tell you that the day after the Treasurer Advisory Committee met, this changed state budget proposal came out, so things are still a bit up in the air. But from those committees, the big thing in our forecast, residential property taxes came in a few percent under, a couple $1 million under what we projected. Now, we won't know until August, till the second half, whether that's due to an uptick in delinquencies or simply less people wanting to pay the full year of taxes in January. They can take advantage of paying in January and June. So we won't know that until the second half comes in August. We also see interest income higher than projected because rates have remained stubbornly high and our expenses are continuing to trend slightly under projection. So good news for the most part in our forecast. We'll see. I don't know that we'll know with any certainty where the state budget's at May 12th when we approve the forecast, but those are the things that you'll see that we talked about in Treasurer Advisory and Finance Committee. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have it regarding what we know or what we don't know.
Seems to be a lot we don't know.
I was gonna say, can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
I don't know if we spoke about it in finance, but I know that we had emailed about it. So just for the benefit, I'll say it here about the rating agencies and how they look at the status of the reserves when they're giving us our AAA rating, and that indicates what interest rate we get for the funds that we borrow. So that's a critical component of this too.
Yeah, certainly not only the rating and not only the cash reserve, but they look at volatility in revenue, right?
Yep.
And so if our revenue next year dips dramatically because millage is reduced, then that's going to send up all kind of warning signs, not only with rating agencies, but with the the new financial health indicators that the Auditor of State is putting out. A lot of those pieces that are supposedly red, yellow, green light to flag districts in fiscal caution, they look at how your revenue changes year to year, and this would pretty much put us all in the red category. So, yeah, that's a good point.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments for TJ? Any thoughts about what to do during this period of break time for the Senate? They don't come back, maybe, I'm looking to you, the 28th. Do they come back the 28th?
I don't know the exact date.
Okay. And, the things that we individually can do, email, write letters, be prepared to submit testimony once they come back, whether that's written or in person, and we can do that on an individual basis. And then if any of you are interested, if you're interested in maybe putting together a resolution to present at our next meeting, we can do that. Same with what we did the last time. I will say maybe it worked. We got that $2.2 million back. Maybe there's magic in it. So, if you're interested, if you think that's a terrible idea, then we don't have to do it. But it's just a suggestion. I know there's some model resolutions out there, so we can have collective language. Because, like Amber said, it's not just Worthington. There are so many, a majority of our districts that will be impacted negatively by this. So, just thinking about that during that time, if you're interested in doing that.
I think a resolution would be good. Either amending the other or writing new since the other one was already pretty lengthy.
Yeah, and a lot of it's already changed kind of too. And it wouldn't be repetitive because that one went to the House. This is the same. I mean, it's a whole different thing. Yeah. So it's they didn't receive the last one.
I think it's worth acknowledging. So I want to be really careful, as Trent has been. We are appreciative, right, that we are getting that money back. But I think it is also worth acknowledging that in addition to the cap, this introduces a level of insecurity, whatever, by not knowing what happens after we get this bridge money, right? Like, we don't know. The fair school funding has ended if they pass it as is written now, and we don't know what that looks like in another 2 years. So I think it's probably worth acknowledging that in the resolution as well. And the impacts of that. So
I think it's also important to point out that, we've heard from our community over and over and over again the need for property tax relief. And that is critical.
Sure.
This is something that our constituents feel is very, very important, and that I think everyone here at this board table agrees to, but this is not the best way to do it.
Right.
You don't cripple the public school. There are many other options. There are many other bills that could address that very issue that isn't this.
Well, and in reality, it will provide a year and a half. I'm not sure how it would fall out, but it would provide relief for a finite period.
Very short term.
And that's it.
It's one
right.
time.
This is not
It's one time.
Correct.
Doesn't address the larger issue.
Right. Kelly, to your other point of like, what else can we do? I think kind of modeling off of what Trent and TJ have already started doing, and just kind of in the simplest terms possible, advocating with our representatives, Senate, information, because they don't necessarily sit on all these committees and may not have all of the information that they need when they're having those conversations. So working with that as well.
And to still stay in contact with our House, because they're going to come back together.
That's true. They'll have to
work it out. And so,
because there will likely be a different version that the Senate passes that maybe the House isn't, thrilled with. So there will be a concurrence.
Just along those lines, we do have Dr. Samani, Representative Samani, coming to our April 28th meeting to speak about the budget. I had thought to also invite Senator Liston to that meeting if she's available. I know it's short notice, but I wanted to make sure that was okay with all of you before I sent that email to her office to see if she's available to also come and speak during that meeting. And maybe that will be helpful for us and for her to hear our concerns that she can take back, to give them helpful language to help as they're doing that. I think that's it. For any other questions or comments about
I just think a resolution would be good. And I mean, TJ puts it so clearly that everyone can understand the comments he's used about, the taxes and all of his comments would be good in there.
Okay, yeah. And I do want to thank TJ and Dr. Bowers. You have put in tremendous work. And I know that you're taking a lot of time to inform us, make sure that we're knowledgeable about it, make sure our community is up to date on it. And so I do really appreciate the time that you're taking to make sure that we are fully informed. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on to board committee reports and announcements. It's been a couple weeks, guys. Yes, stuff going on.
I don't mind starting. Okay. It's funny because the only thing I don't have written down is the last conference that all of us went to regarding the pending budget. So we know that we were there. So we were obviously there. That was obviously helpful. I'll just plant the seed. I started to say it earlier when Jennifer, you were praising how eloquently and just easy to understand both TJ and Dr. Bowers are. It might be worth, if we don't get traction and we need to additional resources to put out to the community, it might be worth a video. I'll just put it out there, just because so people are more inclined to click on that video than they are to read something. So, in addition to attending that with a majority of you, I attended, TJ already gave the TAC committee update, which was on March 31st. In addition to that, I had SPAC on April 1st. So just to remind, I think everyone has, I don't know, Kelly, have you been on SPAC yet? Okay. So, reviewing our extracurriculars and what's emerging. We focused this meeting on girls wrestling as an emerging sport, which it most definitely is. It is now recognized by the OHSAA. We, reviewed the number of students participating both at a middle school and high school level. I really appreciate, I don't know that everyone in the district understands that this group comes together and does a thorough evaluation and makes sure that we are appropriately supporting what we're offering to our students. And that's exactly what happened. So we reviewed girls wrestling to determine whether or not, additional resources may be necessary at some point. Same with water polo, which only continues to grow. If they end up having the number that's anticipated next year, they'll have both a varsity and a junior varsity at both high schools. With our new natatorium, like how exciting is it? Literally gives me goosebumps. Very exciting. So there may be additional needs with that sport as well. Shared some things that are going on in the summer, like the football camp on June 16th. And then they also shared that, well, I guess there'll be 2 days in July when there'll be a middle school camp with varsity coaches, which is well received by the community. One thing that I really wanted to point out was the fact that with all that's going on in our high schools, continues to go on in our high schools from a construction standpoint, moving things that relate to all things band is not something that's easily done. And I love the fact that Alex Bro, is that how you pronounce this? Bruff? Okay, Alex Bruff, who is the Worthington Kilbourne marching band advisor, made a shout out during the meeting to the facilities team at McCord, specifically Adam, is it McKinley? Okay, for just going above and beyond and making the process as easy as possible. And I love the fact that it's happening. I love the fact that everyone feels a little bit of the pain and therefore celebrates each other in the process. So kudos to the team because there's a lot of coordination that goes on behind the scenes. And then I attended the Worthington Education Foundation meeting on April 9th. And I mentioned earlier an exciting new program that they're piloting for 8th graders on the last day of April at KMS is a professional, was just looking back. Sorry, I have my notes in too many places. A professional, 8th grade professional day. And the goal of it is to help them practice professional skills. And it's been kind of think of a speed dating type format where they'll go around and talk with different professionals in different fields. They'll get to practice, everything from a handshake and eye contact and respectful attire to asking appropriate questions, hence my connection to the professional learner. Portrait of a Learner, and just sounds like a fantastic event that the WEF is piloting in our middle school, specifically in the 8th grade. And then I'm excited to share that they are bringing back the Honor and Educator program. It will kick off beginning of May with Teacher Appreciation Week, run through the end of the school year. It will always be open, but it will really be promoted during that time as a means for anyone, parents thinking about, trying to do something nice for a teacher that's been particularly helpful, whether it's during Teacher Appreciation Week or end of the school year, an alternative to an additional, you guys, I work for Bath and Body Works. I can't say an additional candle. Candles are good. An additional whatever gift card or whatever that they might get, that they would get that recognition through the WEF. So really excited that the WEF continues to bring back so much life to the things that they've historically done to support our district. And that's all I have.
Just, can I ask a clarifying question? The 8th grade, is it just at KMS or is it all the middle schools?
They are piloting it at KMS
Okay.
this year. The goal is that they would then learn from it and hopefully have the ability then to offer it to all middle schools next year.
That's awesome.
Yes. I do know, thank you for asking that question, because that gives me the other opportunity to say that if you are interested in participating, not as a board member, but in your professional life, there's a morning session and an afternoon session. Just let me know and I'll forward the Sign Up Genius to you.
Thank you. Does anyone want to go next? I don't want to put anyone on the spot. Okay, we'll just go to Amber.
Nikki hit on a few of mine, and we'd previously kind of talked about things like Finance Committee, but I will also add, I don't know that I have anything else to add because everything was Finance Committee, SPAC. I told you guys about the state auditor website and email. We went to that state legislative conference. I did go to another conference last weekend. It's been so long since we've met. And it was a collection of just public school advocates from across the country. And Kelly was there too. And it was just a really good, I went to a lot of good sessions. I prioritized the ones that focused on the states that were sort of ahead of us in the voucher and privatizing public education efforts, just to learn sort of what we might be expecting and anticipating from some of our lawmakers who do want to have that fight with public education. So it was enlightening and concerning because I think this is a national movement that has a lot of steam with it, and not to doom and gloom or anything, but yeah, there were a lot of things that other states are doing that I could definitely see passing in Ohio very, very easily. So that's really all I had, and just a shout out to the counselors at our high schools right now, because both my daughters have been scheduling for classes and taking, the state testing and ACTs and SATs and all that stuff. And it's a great team who really keeps my kids on top of things. And I know a lot of other kids too. So shout out to the counselors.
My updates have already been covered. I had the OSBA Legislative Conference, and half of what they talked about has changed since then. Although I will point out that it was really helpful for me to understand, having never gone before, OSBA's stance on things beyond just the money coming in, because some of that stuff we hadn't talked about, and some of the things that they have advocated for were changed in the budget. So it was good to see that was at least being heard to a certain extent. And then my other committee was the Finance Committee, which we've talked about as well. So that's it.
Okay, a lot of mine too, we've already talked about, so I'm just going to add a few quick comments. The legislative day was interesting because I think we learned a lot, but I want to give a shout out to our state senator, Beth Liston, who came and had lunch with us. I thought that was very generous of her to do that and listen, and I know she's a good ear for everything we have going on because I'm sending her emails all the time. So she's really good about that. TAC committee, it was a great meeting, and I really appreciate TJ enlarging that committee. We really have a nice, diverse group of people in there and a lot of different questions. And still, even with that group that's like pretty well informed on school funding, they still don't understand the property tax increase and why did mine go up, but you're not getting more money. That concept is just still really difficult, and I don't know how to get it out there because we work really hard at that. The other thing I'm working on right now is for PTA Council and looking at their scholarships. And I think with PTA Council, and I've seen it with my Rotary and other groups, coming out of COVID, applications were very low for multiple scholarships, and I think the kids just weren't into that habit and didn't have things to write about. I don't know what it was, but my Rotary's gotten a lot of applications this year. It seems like things are back on track. PTA Council got 19 applications. Last year they had 5. So, and they're amazing. I mean, you all know our students, they do like a million things. I don't think they sleep, you know, and they've got good ideas and they start new initiatives. So it's been time consuming, but pretty fun to go through those. And then last thing, a Curriculum Liaison Council is coming up April 23rd, and I have a work obligation, so if anyone else wants to go, you're the other person. April 23rd, and I know Kelly likes to go. Do we have an agenda for that yet? Do we know what the topic is? Okay, topic to come, but if someone wants to go, I guess email me and let me know, or.
Okay, so between the two of us.
Okay. All right.
Here? I'll arm wrestle you.
It's here, right? Yeah, because we've already been out at another school. Yeah. Okay, we'll figure it out. When the reminder comes, we'll figure it out. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I had a couple things. Let's see. I had PTAC, and I was joined by Dr. Bowers. And his report was very robust and amazing. So I was able to give a brief update about our policy updates that we had, just sharing about our board priorities that we discussed in our work session and how we're moving along with that, and just mention a few of the presentations that are happening here, because I think that it's such a great opportunity for people to understand what's going on in our district. I may have forgotten a couple, but that's okay because I'm human. I did also go to the Network for Public Education conference. I had the opportunity to be on my first panel, so that was really exciting. We were supposed to talk about the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce whole child framework, which is now very minimalized on their website. So that was kind of awkward. We had to pivot a little bit. So we talked a little bit about how still, the concept of that and how it is utilized here in our district with PBIS and MTSS. We also talked about what it looks like for our district to meet all of our children's needs. So we talked, Angie and her team talked just today about meeting students where they are. And so spoke a little bit about that and how SEL, social and emotional learning, shows up in our school and keeping our district, just with everything going on. There's budget, there's legislation, there's just things happening all around the world. And just how we're keeping our district focused on our students. And I think we're doing an amazing job at that. And so we're able to speak that. I was joined by another board member, a former board member, and a former state school board members. So it was a really cool opportunity. They had a lot of sessions. As you know, you go to those conferences and you're like, but I want to go to 3, but you can only go to 1. It's okay. So I did attend some sessions about state school boards and the ways that they're developing policy for their states, advocating for public education, organizing community members, just how to keep them informed. They talked a lot about communication and how to reach people, different demographics of people, and how to get that message out there in different layers so that it meets your entire community so that they can stay well informed about what's going on. So they talked about robust communication strategies, just updates on current events, legislation, executive orders that are coming down. So we did have a speaker that talked to that and about, it's a national conference, so it's different in every state, right? And so how it shows up in Ohio may be different than how it shows up in New York, or Michigan. And we heard from a Texas state representative. And I went to a session about all being welcome, just again, seeing students for who they are, seeing staff for who they are, and creating a welcoming environment. We heard from the state, I think it was 2022 school, National Teacher of the Year, that's what I'm trying to say, Kurt Russell, and he gave a phenomenal speech about public education not just being important, but essential. And that was just, his whole speech was moving in and of itself. And then it ended on Tim Walz. So that was really exciting to hear from just champions for public education in this space and how we can advocate together. So that was really good. I also went to the library breakfast. So just as we are dealing with budget situations and issues and challenges, so are our public libraries. And so they talked mostly about the plans that they would like to do to expand all 3 of our school library systems. And so that was really good to hear from them, but also talking about the challenges that are facing, which have changed probably since then, before then, and all the things. But that was a really good, well-attended event. I also attended Dr. Bauer's Community Coffee, which I appreciate that you do. I appreciate that you make time for that. And so there were 3 parents there, and there was just lots of conversation about the same things that we're talking about here. So just happy about that. And lastly, over the weekend, I attended the Worthington Alliance for Families, for Black Families and Educators. They had a parent spring conference. It was open to everyone. And so they had 6 different sessions, and they were all amazing. I learned a lot. They talked about preparing for transition, so transitioning from elementary school to middle school to high school and what that looks like. So a parent and an educator in our district was able to speak to that. They talked about understanding school systems and resources. So they touched a little bit on the PBIS and how they're utilizing Portrait of a Learner and acknowledging students and staff. There was talking about navigating social and emotional challenges, promoting healthy lifestyles for students, handling difficult language, harmful language in our district, and how our district is handling that, and empowering staff and our community, our district community, to handle those situations. And just parent involvement and advocacy. How can parents plug in? How can they connect with their teachers to make sure that the school and the teachers are clear about their students' needs? So it was a really great time. It was 3 hours, and people were really engaged, and I asked a lot of questions. So I look forward to that for next year. So it was good. All right. I'm going to move on to item E, actions recommended by the treasurer, TJ.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the March 12th meeting as presented in enclosure E1.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions about the minutes or corrections? Okay. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the appropriation modifications contained in your agenda. These are cross-object general fund transfers that net out to 0. Looks like we're purchasing some xylophones.
Seriously? So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second. Do you have any questions about xylophones?
I have lots of questions.
So many.
I feel like. So many questions.
I love it. Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
We're moving on to item F, Personnel Consent Agenda. Dr. Bowers.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda. That's items F2 through F15 on your agenda. Items F2 through F15, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions, comments? Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Moving on to item G, actions recommended by the superintendent, new business.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve item G1. Item G1 is the motion to accept the donations from the individuals and organizations that are listed here on the agenda. Item G1, please.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? It's a long list.
It's a long list.
Yeah.
$18,000 from Worthington Estates PTA.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve item G2. Item G2 is the recommended motion to approve the continued enrollment of a senior at Worthington Kilbourne High School whose parents have moved out of the district. Item G2, please.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes. Motion carries on all the ones, everything. Okay. Item H, actions recommended by the Board of Education. May I please have a motion to approve the adoption of Pre-K 5 ELA curriculum, CKLA, Core Knowledge Language Arts, as presented during our February 24th, 2025 board meeting, as indicated in the enclosure Amplified CKLA overview.
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions? I tell everybody about that enthusiastic presentation. I really do. It's exciting. TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next on our agenda, any requests, questions, or concerns from the board? Okay. Moving on to calendar. Our next meeting is Monday, April 28th, where we will hear from Representative Anita Samani, and we will also get a student behavior and mental health update from Nathan Kellenberger. Then our May 12th meeting, the exciting meeting of the updated 5-year forecast presented by Treasurer TJ Cusick. And on June 5th, which I believe is a Thursday, is our work session here at noon, where we will have goal setting for the 2025-2026 school year. Okay? So, may I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
TJ, will you please call for the vote?
Mrs. Hudson.
Yes.
Mrs. Best.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Epling Skinner.
Yes.
Ms. Harless.
Yes.
Motion carries. Have a good evening. Thank you for being here.